There are losses in life so deep that no words can ever truly express them. They are invisible wounds, yet they cut deeper than anything visible. And yet in the midst of what feels like insurmountable pain, we sometimes find an unexpected strength, a force that helps us rise, keep moving, and rediscover the true meaning of life. Today I want to share with you an extraordinary story. A story not just about the bond between a father and son, but about a journey across America spanning more than 3,000 miles, lit by tears, hope, and rebirth. It began with a loss no one could foresee, a tragedy that no one is ever truly prepared to face. We grow up believing that there will always be more time, more hugs, more conversations, more evenings spent watching TV together or listening to old songs. But then, one day, fate strikes so quickly we can't hold on, so cruelly that everything collapses in the blink of an eye. This is the story of a father, John Smith, who lost the most precious thing in his life, his son. John was a U.S. Army veteran, a strong man who had survived war and witnessed unimaginable horrors. But nothing could prepare him for that fateful day in 2009 when he received the news that Ryan, his 18-year-old son, had died in a car accident. Ryan was everything to him, a passionate young man who loved playing guitar, adored sports, and dreamed of becoming a filmmaker. He lived with an open heart, always trying to make those around him smile. Ryan's death didn't just steal the joy from the Smith family, it extinguished the light in his father's eyes. In the days following the accident, John fell silent. He didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't speak to anyone. The man who had once been brave on the battlefield now collapsed, unable to find a reason to carry on. But amid the darkness, a thought began to flicker in his mind. A strange yet powerful idea. If I just sit here, Ryan will disappear forever. But if I get up, keep going, and carry his memory with me, maybe in some way, my son will still live on. And so he made an unthinkable decision, to walk across America. From the coast of California to the city of New York, over 3,000 miles, with nothing but a backpack, a photo of Ryan, and a broken heart. He was not an athlete. He had no sponsors. Just a pair of worn-out shoes, a map, and the love for his son as his motivation. Each morning, he rose before dawn. Each step carried a memory, the sound of Ryan's laughter, their days playing ball together, their final hug. Sometimes he'd stop on the side of the road, stare at his son's photo, and cry. But then he would walk on, because he knew Ryan was watching him. Along the way, John met hundreds of people. A truck driver who pulled over just to hug him in silence. An elderly couple who invited him in for dinner and shared how they had lost their son to cancer. A young soldier returning from Afghanistan who saluted him and called him a hero. But the most unforgettable moment came when he met a mother sitting alone in a park, clutching a necklace with her son's picture. She, too, had just lost her only child. They didn't speak much. They simply held each other and wept. In that moment, John realized, pain, when shared, can become something sacred, a connection between people who have known deep loss. After 7 long months, John finally reached New York. When he stepped into Times Square, strangers applauded and embraced him. The media covered his story, and social media spread it like wildfire across the country. But for John, the greatest reward wasn't the fame. It was the feeling of being alive again, and living for a cause greater than himself. He refused to let his son's death be the end. Instead, he turned it into an ellipsis, a beginning for new stories, for those still searching for hope. After his journey, John began speaking at schools, hospitals, and mental health communities. He didn't speak like a hero. He spoke like a father who had once stood at the edge of despair, but found his way back. During one of his talks, a student asked him, "Did you ever think of giving up?" John smiled and replied, "Not once, but thousands of times. But every time I wanted to quit, I looked at Ryan's photo and heard his voice say, 'Keep walking, Dad.' So I did." John Smith didn't just survive his loss. He transformed pain into strength, tears into hope, and left behind a timeless message. Wherever you are on your journey, no matter how dark it gets, there is always a road ahead, if you are brave enough to take one more step. Throughout his 3,000-mile journey, John didn't just battle harsh weather, rough terrain, or the blisters on his bleeding feet. He battled himself, the raw memories that stayed as fresh as the day they were born. The endless question, Why my son? Why did Ryan have to go while so many others still have the chance to live? Many nights he slept beneath a sky full of stars, his back against a tree, Ryan's photo clutched in his hands. He would look up and whisper, "Can you hear me, son? I miss you so much." And then he would cry. Not from weakness, but from love. A love so deep that nothing could ever bury it. Sometimes John wanted to stop. One day in the plains of Kansas, he collapsed. His body ached, his heart was heavy. He sat by the roadside, the sun scorching above. Cars passed by, no one noticed. He felt invisible in a vast, indifferent world. But then a rusty pickup truck pulled over. A man stepped out, carrying a cold bottle of water and a damp towel. He said, "I know who you are. I read your story. I lost my brother to depression 3 years ago. But because of you, I found the strength to keep living. Today I drove 100 miles just to give you this water, and to say thank you." At that moment, John realized this wasn't just his journey. This was the journey of thousands, millions of people who had known loss, pain, despair, and who were still trying to carry on. He began to record the stories of those he met along the way. A young woman once abused, now a child psychologist helping others heal. An elderly man who lost his wife after 50 years but still plants yellow flowers on the porch because she loved yellow. Each person was a candle, and John, in his way, was helping reignite them. His journey became a symbol. The media called him America's greatest dad. Students wrote him letters. Organizations invited him to speak. But none of it mattered more to John than this. He felt Ryan was still here. Not in the photographs, but in the eyes of strangers, in silent embraces, in every step he took. His son was alive again, not by breath, but by inspiration. When John took his final steps into New York City, the crowd erupted. People cheered, holding up signs that read, "Walk for Ryan, hope for all." But amid all the lights, cheers, and tears, John looked up at the sky and smiled. He was no longer alone, and the most miraculous thing wasn't how far he had walked, but that his heart, once shattered, once bleeding, was now beating again, stronger than ever. Later, John wrote a single line in his journal. "If you are at the deepest low in life, don't rush to climb out. Just start with one small step, then another, and one day you'll find the light."